like we're live, but I'm not completely ready. This vertical format is throwing me off a little bit, but I think we can do this. All right, so let's see. I should be able to see the chat. The lighting might not be quite right. Let me see. I'm going to move this around a little bit before I start. Okay. We have somebody. We got Sal. Yes, Sal is in the house. There you go. Yeah, hopefully there I go. Hey, Marty's here. Mike Mason's here. Okay. I'm trying to get this set up. So just hold on a second. I cleared everything out and I got everything swept. Yeah. So hopefully we can do this. The phone, see how right down here, the phone is casting a shadow. So I got to get right up next to the phone. I think I can do this. Ed Gould is here. Yeah. I'm gonna move the phone just a little bit. Hold on. I need to raise it up higher. Not too high. Orientation is locked. Okay. Rotate the phone back. I can't read the chat that fast. Hold on. This Primitive Gentleman, Jack, I know you have some videos on this stuff, but I'm still unable to get good percussion flakes. The rod always slips from my knee. Can you explain that? And also explain tip placement and pressure? Yeah, just use a strap, or you can insert the rod into a piece of plastic. You know, just get one of these plastic rods, drill a hole the same diameter, and slip this in there, and then you can hold it behind your knee easier, and you just hit the copper rod, right? It'll look like that when you're done. You might have to shorten this rod or whatever, but it'll look like this. Okay? You hit the copper rod. You don't hit the plastic. You hit the copper rod. Now, some guys will have a little short copper tip. I used to do that in the beginning. And then you hit the plastic, but it absorbs a lot of shock. So nowadays I just hit the copper rod, and I don't even use this plastic anymore. I just put the thing behind my knee, and I sit very low so that my knees are higher up than normal. Okay? And the placement is in every one of my videos. So just watch another one of my videos. I can't tell you more than what's on the videos, although I'll try to explain it a little bit in this one. You should be able to see pretty good though. Okay, and you can use a strap, like I was first saying. You type in Jack Crafty Kelly strap, Kelly, Jack Crafty Kelly, Kelly strap, strap. Okay, and that'll show you a different way to hold it. How y'all doing, says Bren. We're doing good. Primitive Gentleman says indirect percussion. Yep. All my videos have indirect percussion, so that's how you will see the placement. As far as holding it, you know, like I was saying earlier, just use a plastic rod and drill a hole in it and insert the copper, and it's easier to hold behind your knee. Let's see. Time for the Flint Night Smackdown. Patrick's School of Hard Wax. Yeah. Friday Night Live. Yes, yes. I'm a little bit late, but let's see. 865 Chris Smith. Mike Mason is used to have the same issues, but now I have Starlink. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I can read the chat, but it's distracting. So what am I going to do? I have to nap without hitting the phone. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. I can zoom in. Let me see. Just be patient. This won't let me zoom out. Mac Bales is here. Okay, there we go. Are we zoomed out? No, we're not zoomed out. It lets me zoom in, but not zoom out. And it won't tell me if that's the original size. Okay, so I got to move the phone one more time. Why don't I do this before I start the live stream? Because I have to do this with an unlisted live stream, and it won't do it. I can't see what's happening when I have an unlisted live stream. I can only do this when the live stream is actually active. Okay, that's a little bit better. All right, the phone's out of the way pretty much too. Let's see, Charles Rooker's here. Let's see. Walter Sullivan's here. I've been trying to find those copper rods. Lowe's in places don't seem to know if they carry them. Yeah, they're not at Lowe's. They're from eBay. The copper rods are from eBay. Okay? If you want the link to it, just remind me. I can't give you the link from here. Because this is my spare phone without my clipboard. Okay? I'm using my spare phone because if I receive a phone call, now I can answer it on my regular phone. See, this is my regular phone. So I don't have to hang up on whoever's trying to call me. All right. And the clipboard is not on this particular phone. So what am I going to do? Well, I've got a choice of many things. I can try to nap this big, nasty chunk of Texas chert. I can nap something from this Knife River Flint box of nodules and flakes. Or I can nap some spall from the Mookite. So that's my choices. You let me know what you want while I read the chat. Yeah, Lowe's doesn't know where the copper rods are. They don't even know what that is. All right, Jeremy's here. Hey, Patrick and the gang, how you doing? Doing good. So far, so good. Sal says I had to make my phone higher up. Yeah, me too. It's right. It's even more difficult than my normal videos. Let's see. The Primitive Gentleman, thanks, Mike and Jack. With Indirect, do you push the workpiece into the rod a bit? Just a tiny little bit to get it seated so it's not moving too much. You do seat it by putting a little bit of pressure. But everything is experimental. Okay, you can put you can put a lot of pressure. You can load it up a lot or just a little bit. Normally what I do 99% of the time is just a little tiny bit just to get it seated so it's not moving around. Just a little bit of pressure to get it seated right where you want to hit. Okay? And it's up on the surface a little bit directly on the edge. It's kind of on the edge but kind of on the surface at the same time. You know what I mean? It's in the happy middle between the surface and the edge. So from the side view, it'll look like that. It's halfway down this radius. Okay, so some of the copper is up on the surface and some of the copper is on the edge. And when you hit it, that roundness pushes inward. So I don't need too much angle like this. This is an inward force. So most of the time you'll see that the angle from the front view is almost straight. The workpiece and the rod are almost straight. It is for some hits, but most of the time it's just a slight, like a slight degree, like 2 or 3 degrees, or maybe it's even 5 degrees. I don't know. I never measure this stuff because it varies a lot. Okay. All right. Let's see. What am I going to do? No one has told me what they want to see. Gary's here. Let's see. Yeah, there's no There's no copper at Lowe's or Home Depot like this. Walter Sullivan. Oh, look. Okay. Let's see here. Danny Collins. Is Danny Collins in the house? I don't see him. I'm trying to read the chat here. Hold on. I'm using my hands to try to read the chat. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Mookite says, Mac Bales. Mookite, please. Everyone, there's 3 votes for Mookite. Okay. All right, so we'll do the Mookite. And I don't know what you guys are talking about, but okay. Jared's here. Hey. Okay. I can't pay too much attention to the chat when I start. Okay, so we'll get rid of this. We'll take a spall off of the Mookite. Do a mystery rock, says Gary. Yeah, I've done many of those. I can do them, but I just don't have a mystery rock available. Do I? No. Excuse me while I mess with the microphone a little bit. It's not in the right place. It's hanging down too low. Okay. Yeah. How's it hanging? Pretty low. All right. Is that going to be? I think that's good. Do some Georgetown. Ha. Yeah, Jeremy. You're funny. I was going to also try to tackle this on live stream, this Keo Cook, and make an enormous, gigantical Snyder's for a friend of mine at the Knapping. I just can't remember who gave it to me to nap on video. All right. Yeah, I got a lot of friends at the Knapping. They give me stuff. I just can't remember who gives me stuff. All right, so let's get the other glove on. If I don't wear the other glove, the spall will jump backwards and get me. Okay? All right. Here we go. I'm going to knock a spall off and then nap the spall. What is Mookite? It's some Australian jasper from Western Australia. It's very difficult to get your hands on for cheap. Yeah, it's expensive stuff. Let's see. This one is a gift. This is like a 13-ounce bopper. Solid copper, not lead-filled. And I've abused it a lot. So it's almost time for me to grind it to make it more smooth, but I think this will work. See, I'm going to hit that. I'm going to hit right there somewheres. My direct percussion is not that accurate, so we'll see. It might take 2 or 3 hits. We'll see. Maybe 1 hit will give me the spall I want. Yes. Ooh, that turned out lovely. Yes, it did. Look at that. This is napping a lot like high-grade Georgetown, which I don't really like, but at least the color is better than Georgetown. Yeah. So how did I do that? How did I know how to do this? Only through practice. This is a hard hammer, but look, the bulb of percussion is not that big. How is that even possible? People would say, or back when I first started, they go, bulbs of percussion are always big when you use a hard hammer. Always. Yeah, well, I don't know how I did it then. How did I manage to do it without a bulb that's really big? It's a miracle. No, the aliens taught you. That's how you do it. Yeah. You got alien knowledge. Maybe I do. You don't know. All right. Copper is a hard hammer? Yes, copper is a hard hammer. Definitely. Let's see. All right, let's see. Salamandra is here. I won't be able to check the chat, okay, guys? If I'm napping. Unless well, let's try this. I have my other phone, right? I've got my normal phone. I might be able to check the chat on that. Yeah, let's see. I mean, I can see the chat from this view. I can see it down below. I can see this, but I can only see 4 at a time. Let me see if I can see myself. Am I live on my phone? Videos, live. I can't see myself on my phone. Hey, Jesse gave me a super chat. $5. Thanks, Jesse. See, it says live on your videos, but I'm not on there. Let me go to my channel. You, Jack Crafty Flintknapping. And then, oh, I am live. Let's see. Let's see. Can I see? Oh, what was that? Can I see? All right, so I can read the chat from this other phone? Yes, I can. Oh, good. Hellbilly is here. Who else did I miss? Thomas Thompson. I suppose I can show what's going on. Jesse gave me a super chat. Sal is here. Yep, I seen Sal already. Who else? Did I miss anybody? Okay, there's the chat's going. The possum was cool, says Jesse. See, you can see it's like a mirror. It goes into infinity. No. Okay, so the chat stopped moving. Bren says, Patrick almost got us caught in an endless phone loop. We almost entered the matrix. Well, there it is. It is an endless phone loop, but I'm not going to show you the whole thing. No. Okay, so down the rabbit hole we go, says Marty. Yes, yes. Okay, so let me put my phone aside. So if I want to look at the chat, I can use my other phone. This is going to be good. Yeah. At least we got that part solved. I'm going to switch to a smaller bopper. This is like a 13 ounce. And then it goes down to a 9 ounce. And then there's like a 6 ounce. And then there's a 4 and a 2. This one is a... See, I bought a whole set. I think it's 13, 9, 6, 4, and 2. Something like that. As far as ounces go, I'm going to use this one here. Like the 6 ounce. Just to make sure, because people, inquiring minds want to know for sure. Hey, Ed Gould, $5 super chat. Thank you, thank you. All right, so let's measure to see exactly how much the one I'm going to be using actually weighs. Yeah, it's not going to work. 5.3 ounces. 5.3 ounces, so it's almost, well, I was close. It's not 6, it's 5.3 ounces. Okay. And if I need to measure again, I'll do it. Okay, all right. People have been asking lately about the tools. How much does it weigh? What's it made out of? Is it solid or lead filled as far as the boppers? And then they ask about the rods too. So what's going to be the tip? Well, I've got to figure out where these cracks are going. If there's going to be cracks, I got to get rid of those. There is a crack here. So I'm not even grinding anything at this stage. I'm seeing where these cracks go. Where they go, nobody knows. Not even I know where they go. Let's just get rid of all the sharp edges. Alrighty? Let's see. Somebody's missing their like button. Yeah, YouTube has been, no, not YouTube. Google has updated, or Chrome. Chrome updated on my computer. Now my computer doesn't work. Yeah. Good thing I'm not recording this on my computer's camera. I think this is the same one. Let's not get them mixed up. Yeah. I think that's the 6 or the 5.3 ounce, 5.3 ounces. Yeah. All right. Just remember, if you don't nap exactly like I nap, you're in a world of hurt. Really? No. Don't worry too much about it. You worry too much. Yeah. Some people say, if I don't have the exactness of the bopper weights, I'm not going to be able to do it. Yeah, you can still do it, okay? Don't worry about it. Let me see. My accuracy is terrible. That's why I started using my indirect percussion years ago. My accuracy. There it goes. How did I do that? Just with practice. I don't know how I do these. I don't know how I do it. Maybe you can see just by the way it looked on video. Hopefully. That's why I make the videos. You're the weirdest napper I've ever heard and seen. Yeah, I know. If you don't like it, you can lump it. Like I said on the last live stream. Okay? I can't explain everything because I don't know how I do it. I just kind of know the basics when I'm telling you. Most of the complicated stuff is up in my subconscious where it should be. So I don't have to worry about the technicalities and the particulars every single darn time I nap. It's all by feel now. And to prevent breakage, I tend to hold a whole blade, okay, because this might break right along that crack. So I'm going to hit this right here. I'm going to thin down the ends first. Thin down the ends is one of the strategies. And it's above center line, right? So it's okay. Don't worry about it. You worry too much. It'll still work, at least a little bit. Well, that did show there was a flaw in there. I mean, yeah, it broke right where there was an internal flaw. So it would have broken there anyway, eventually. As it got thinner, it would have broke there anyway. So we can put those aside and we try for another spall. Yeah, let's try for another spall. One that doesn't have nasty stuff. Hey, Jay Valente, Wilderness Quest Outdoors. Hold on a second. Let's see. What did I miss? Who called it? Who said it was going to break? Hey, Dalton Thompson's here. I always tell people I just watch my hands do the work. There you go. That's what I should say. Decker McNaught. Deck R. McNaught said hi. Hello. Let's see. Hellbilly says, yes, you do stop gatekeeping the arcane napping knowledge. Yeah. Voos? Who's Voos? This guy is really taking a nap on YouTube? I don't know what that means. Somebody translate. Let's see. Clint Evans is here. I just want to make sure I see everybody. And I say hi to everybody. This is what I typically do is I say hi to everybody. All right, because we have a core audience here that is very loyal. Oops. That is very loyal, and I don't want to miss. Okay. Hey, Ron is here. I'm trying to nap a stone hook, but they keep breaking. Then don't nap the stone hooks. Jim Cooper, hey, Patrick, did you ever send that rock out to me? No, I got it right down here. I got it. It's sitting right over here, a big pile of stuff. I haven't sent it out yet. Okay? I haven't sent it yet. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to pack it in that box, or if I'm going to send you 2 boxes. That's what's kind of holding things up. I probably end up sending you 2 boxes. Let's see. I think I've seen everybody so far, right? Why does it do that to me? See, I have the poly effect on these things. Equipment doesn't work correctly around me. Did it go back to the beginning? See, it's supposed to move the chat, right? But it moves everything. Deck says, I'm enjoying hearing your impressions. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna stop checking the chat. Let's get to this next one. This next spall off the Mookite. Is there a way for me to tell where is going to be a good spot? Not really. I really can't tell. Now I'm going to probably take the next spall right off of this area. Or I could turn it like this. I could take some spalls off of this area. Maybe that'll be more consistent. I could take a spall off of here. So I can hit there. I could hit there. That's going to be very difficult. I could continue hitting, going this way. I can hit that. That's not that great of a spot. There's various spots that I can hit, but I want to hit a place that looks like it's not cracked. There's a lot of cracks in this one. That's probably why I was gifted this piece, because it's a challenge. Shall I try for a smaller spall? That way it's less chance of having an inclusion in it that's nasty. There's a lot of cracks in it. Let me just go for it at random, okay? I don't want to think about this. All right, let's put this on my knee, kind of, sort of. What does that look like? I might be able to get a small arrowhead out of that one, maybe. This one looks pretty junky. We can save that for later. Take one off of this side. I think I might take one off of that side. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Come on, please. Come on. Oh, I love the colors, but dang, it is crackiola pudding. That might be solid, though, in there somewhere. Let's see. What is this? Oh, that's not good. See, it's got cracks all in it. Is there any good spalls in this? Yeah, I don't know. Let me think here. If you're just now joining us, this is a piece of Mookite from Australia. It's Jasper. I'm trying to get some good spalls so I can make a reasonably sized point or a knife blade. Ooh, that would have been nice if it had stayed together. There's no flaws in that. Dang it. But I think I can get something out of this one. Yeah, it's crackly, but it's not too bad. What is that? That's nothing. So yeah, I'll just add this to the pieces over here for laters. That was nasty. This one might be okay for later. I still got potential with this. I'm not trying to maximize this piece for a biface. I'm just trying to take off spalls, because I don't think it's possible to get a big biface from this unless this is the potential biface. And just take everything else off. This side might be good. we'll see. I could try to take off more spalls on this side. Keep this as a biface. All right, we'll see later. So this one that I was taking the big spalls from, I think this is 13 ounces or something like that. 13.4 ounces. And it's still, you can't see. Oh yeah, all right, you might be able to see. 13.4 ounces. Yeah. You can't see, but it was there. It was at 13.4. Okay, so that's what I was using to get the big spall. Now I'm going back to the 5.3 ounce. Right? Yeah, okay. Let's see. Patrick, do you hammer your solid boppers or grind it? Or before grind? No, I don't hammer these at all. I grind them only. What do I grind them on? This right here. It's a Harbor Freight grinder. Come on. 1" by 30" belt sander. Item number blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure it's from Harbor Freight. I sharpen my knives on this too, but I got to change the belt out when I sharpen the knives. So what I do is I just this is solid copper, so I'm not afraid to grind it. I hardly ever grind the lead-filled ones. I will grind the lead-filled ones sometimes when it's really bad. But the more you grind the lead-filled ones, the thinner the copper cap gets, and it can expose the lead filling sometimes. You can wear right through. But with solid copper, it doesn't wear through. It just is solid. Okay. I did not need to grind it yet. It's still in fairly good shape, but it's best to keep it nice and ground down. It works better that way. When there's rock dust in the bopper, it doesn't work that well. Good old Harbor Freight, says Salamandra. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Sal says, after you buy the blah, 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 you can do the la, la, la. Yeah. Everybody knows what that means. Yep. Well, you don't know our inside jokes? If you're brand new, you're not going to know our inside jokes. I don't care about inside jokes. I don't care about anything except you being very technical about every aspect of what you're doing. Yeah, explain everything with correct explanations. That's what I'm here for. I want my money's worth from something I'm watching for free. Okay, remember that. All right, fine. I'll try to explain as much as I can. Okay, we'll start because I'm confused already. I gotta knock off the delicate areas. And I just opportunistically knock off flakes. This is a combination of swiping and abrading. Swiping actually removes flakes. See, watch, it'll remove something off of that. See how it removes flakes as well? It doesn't just grind it down, it removes flakes. And that's useful because it's removing the delicate areas. You don't want delicate areas on there when you hit, because it just crushes it. It doesn't remove a flake, it just crushes the edge. But this, now that I've done this abrading, it's called abrading, I can remove a flake in here probably. It's nice and tough, this edge. So I just hit that, I just hit it and hope and pray that it's a good hit. Yeah. Sometimes I miss on the first attempt. Okay. That came out pretty good. Yes, yes. So I just hit and pray it doesn't break. Yeah, pretty much. That's not technical. That's not a technical explanation. I'm going to unsubscribe. Yeah, do us a favor, and please do. Go over to watch Gulf Coast Knapping or something. Yeah. There you go. He naps the big blades anyway. You sound like you're a big blade person. Who are you talking to, dude? Just making up voices. Yeah, I know. See, who else is here? Alan's here. Did I miss anybody? Sam is here. Great day to all. Dick says, when Patrick does his impressions of the Ghostbusters one. I don't remember the Ghostbusters one. I like the movies, though. The original Ghostbusters movies. All right, so this is getting to the point where I've already made a good biface. I can start with indirect percussion. But let's just work a little bit more with the boppers, and hopefully I won't snap the whole thing. The boppers are very aggressive. Come on. I am supporting this. See, I am supporting the whole thing. Just in case, because you never know, there could be a hidden crack in there. But it's always a good habit anyway, to support the whole thing. But sometimes you'll see me do this when I'm confident. Don't ask me why. Sometimes I'm confident. It's just, I go by feel, like I said. I'll try to explain everything, but I can't always. Works like butter. No, this works like Georgetown, which is all crackly. This is not butter. No, this is not butter, dude. This is all crackly. Yeah. And it shows the flake scars really well, but that also shows your mistakes really well. Okay. If it looks like it's snapping like butter, it's because I've had practice as a flint napper. It's very crackly. I don't recommend this stuff for new guys. If it's truly buttery, then I would recommend it, but this is not truly buttery. I got to be very careful because it's very crackly. And careful means it's got to be ground down a lot. And I've got to make sure I hit it on the first strike, because with crackly material, if you hit and nothing happens, the incipients are going to be in there. So on the next strike, it's going to get all messed up. So it's important to get a flake removal on the first strike. In this case, when it's all crackly and crushy like this, you don't want incipient cracks in there. Yeah, like that. But you see, it doesn't terminate. It doesn't feather out when it terminates. So that's, you drop it down a notch in quality if the terminations don't feather. Okay? That one feathered out okay. Where did they go? You see, I did not follow a ridge. I hit right here. This is important, right? I hit there. There's no ridge where I hit. So why did I hit there? I was actually aiming for this, but I hit there instead. I was actually aiming for that area. That's why. That's why I hit there. But see, it still worked. Yeah. You mean you don't always hit where you want to hit? Yeah, I don't always hit where I want to hit. Sometimes I miss, and I miss a lot with these boppers. It might look like I did okay, but that's just luck. Yeah. See how steppy and crackly it is? And nothing happened the first time, and the second time I hit it, it just made a small flake, which means it probably had incipients in there that took away some energy. Okay? Those incipients, they're flying around everywhere, and then when you hit it and nothing happens, they land right there and they mess you up. Yeah. See who's here. Damon Crowfeather. Hey, Pat, I bet your children think you're a hoot. No, they think I'm weird. Yeah. I asked my kids, did you see my latest video? No, Dad, we don't watch your videos. They're weird. Makes me laugh. I know they're going to say that, but I want to hear it anyway. No, Dad, we don't watch your videos. They're weird. Hey, Lee Steinmeier is here. Pat has me trained. First thing I do is hit the like button. Yeah, you're well trained then. Let's see. It was the character Louis Tully, played by Rick Moranis in the movie Ghostbusters 1984. Cool. I won't remember that, but cool. Yeah. When I review my own videos, it's kind of like a Pee Wee Herman-esque type of thing going on when I make a silly voice on some of the voices. Okay. So this is the initial biface. The easy part's over. Okay. This was the easy part. Now comes the first stage of thinning, or the preliminary thinning. Let's clean this area off. Take a little pause because the mindset changes. Whenever I change my mindset or the strategies or the techniques or whatever, I like to pause. And during the pause, I clean up. Okay? All right. You agree? Yes? Of course you do. All right, let's see. Come on. Grinder is in the way. Or belt sander, I should say. Yes. Much better. Now I can think. Right? Yeah. It's time for the indirect percussion. And I usually start with more abrading, because the copper is a hard percussion tool, and it's very, very harsh on these edges. And since this is a crackly material that's very finicky, I need to make sure I do a little bit of extra grinding. So what's the secret of getting good flakes that don't do a lot of crackle? It's the surface. If the surface is smooth, the terminations are better. See how the terminations are good on this side? Because it's nice and smooth. I got to try to smooth out these sides or these faces so that the flakes will travel without being all crackly like this. Okay? That's the secret. And the technique called flake over grind is very effective because the nappers just grind these preforms nice and smooth. Deck says, Patrick, do you use deer antlers too? Yes, I have a separate channel called Allergic Hobbit Flintknapping where I use nothing but natural tools. What? Allergic Hobbit Flintknapping. Yes, Allergic Hobbit, Hobbit. You heard it right. Flintknapping. Nothing but natural tools. Antlers, hammerstones, and all that stuff. I don't know how many videos I got on there, but there's at least 20, I think. At least a dozen of those videos. I never check it though, so If you ask a question over there, I'll never see it. I don't hardly ever check that channel. I check it every 5 years or something. Okay. I started as a natural tool napper. Yeah. What is it, 14, 15, 16 years ago? 16 years ago? Oh, dang. See, this is not buttery. This is all crackly. And don't get offended. I'm not making fun of you. I just want to make sure that the people who don't know that this is not easy material to nap without a bunch of crackles. Okay? I've got to make sure that the areas I hit into don't have a lot of weirdness. Yeah. Clear out the weirdness before I hit, because if not, it's going to get all nasty. See, it tends to dive too. See that? And that's just a short flake. So if it's going to be divey, I'm going to have to make it more narrow than this in order to get nice feathery terminations on the flakes. That one wasn't too bad. So far, so good. This is the preliminary thinning, so these stages increase in difficulty as I go. So you can see that on this nice smooth surface, the terminations are nice. But on this surface where it's kind of wonky, the terminations are, kind of wonky too. Although they're not too bad. But I've got to watch to make sure the surfaces are smooth. And if I mess it up and get a step fracture somewhere, I got to clear off that step fracture before I do anything else, because further flakes will not like that step fracture in there. And you'll have to figure out how the edges look from the video. Sometimes I prepare the edges and sometimes I don't. Why? It's all done by feel. Sometimes I think, yeah, it feels like it's going to nap well, even though I don't abrade it that well. And most of the time I'm correct. It does nap well. It might not nap perfectly if I don't abrade, but it can give me some of the results I want. At this stage, I still have plenty of meat in the biface, so if I make a mistake, I can fix it. The object here is to not spend too much time or think too much, because if I think too much and spend too much time here, I'm very tired for the final finishing. And I do not want to be tired and worn out for the final finishing, which is the most difficult part of the whole thing. Okay? All right. Did that work? That kind of worked. Yeah. All right, so let's just do a combination of making it less wonky and thinning. If I can do both at the same time, that'd be great. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to do the thinning and remove the wonkiness at the same time. That comes with practice. See how on this side, the terminations are all kind of steppy, but this side is not. It's because the original surface is nice and smooth. I want to make sure you understand. Okay? Let's see. Yeah. And the more chaotic the surface gets, the more crunchy the terminations are going to be. It's not because I'm not doing it right. It's surface conditions. Okay. And I am supporting everything just in case. I hit that pretty hard. Yeah. But it does still step. Lithic Man is here. I was wondering if you had any tips on making my flutes go further. No fluting, something for me. Any tips on making the flutes go further? I don't know. Use antler. Use a different tool. If your tool is not doing it, use a different tool. Use some antler instead of a copper piece of antler or something. Just try different things. The only tip I can give you is to try different things and keep practicing. Now, one thing you've got to make sure you do is you keep convexity in this direction as well as this direction. If you don't have convexity like this, your flutes are going to dive in too soon. You've got to have convexity in this direction, like that. You know what I mean? It's got to be thin on the ends and thick in the middle for a long flute. Because if it's flat like this, let's just imagine this is really flat. That flake is going to want to curl, and it's going to dive in too soon. You got to have a good thick biface with good convexity, and those flutes will run longer. But some people say, no, that's the opposite of what I want to do because I want it thin and fluted, thin and fluted. That's it. No. If you look on real Clovis points, they are thick. And it's for a reason. They probably were using percussion to run those flutes, which are actually just thinning flakes. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's two thinning flakes. And if you have good convexity, this direction, the flakes travel further. All right? A lot of times they'll have a lot of convexity on one side. They'll run a big flute on one side, but the other side is more flat because they're trying to thin it down for the final finishing, and they can only run a short flake on a flat surface. Okay? Sometimes you do have two big flutes, but that's because they had very good convexity on both sides. Okay? All right. And sometimes they just didn't want to take a chance on the second flute. So that even though they had good convexity, they didn't want to ruin the whole thing because it started getting thin. And they just did a short flute because all you need is just enough for that Clovis point to be in the haft. That's it. You just need to make sure it's hafted or it fits in the haft. That's it. They don't look at, oh, I did that flute so it looks pretty. No, they did that flute so it'll fit in the haft. And sometimes they only flute one side. So, you know, if you do a flute on a Clovis and you stick your foreshaft on there and it fits, they don't even flute the other side. There are single-sided flutes on Clovis points. That tells you that what they're doing is going for fitting it into a pre-made foreshaft. Because as long as it's thin enough to fit in there, that's it. And some Clovises, they do this bifacing, and it's already thin enough to fit in the haft, so they don't even flute it. Okay? Right. Well, I missed it. I missed it because I don't like hearing that, because that's not what I was told. You're not telling me what I was told. I know. So I don't like what I'm seeing, so my ears don't work, okay? I know, I know. Don't worry about it. I won't hold it against you for having eyes that don't work if you don't like what you hear, or ears that don't work if you don't like what you see. Okay? I'm not going to hold it against you. I just know it exists. Yeah. Let's see. I don't see. Did I miss something in the chat? Because I hate when I miss a joke if there's a joke. Let's see. My flutes are so long they come out the other side. Yeah. Hey, John Keck. I haven't seen you before. Interesting, he says. Salamander says, Jack, on coffee makes me kind of afraid. He makes something too powerful. How do you know I'm on coffee? I am. I did drink some coffee before this. Yeah, I don't drink Mountain Dew. I did have some coffee before this. Okay, so I already got that. You have to watch the movie Americano to understand Jesse's comment. Oh, I see. Thomas says they wanted long flutes to have less breakage. Short flutes are not good? No, short flutes are less breakage. That's the opposite. If they have a long flute, it was by luck. How do I know this? I've made lots and lots of Clovises, and I've looked at lots and lots of Clovises, and I have friends that have Clovis points, and I have bought Clovis casts. I've studied Clovis so much, it gives me a headache now to think about it. That's how much I studied Clovis. And if you look at real Clovis points, you'll say to yourself, wait a second. If I were to make this Clovis point like this artifact, I would get like $5 for it because it's all cruddy. Exactly. The Clovis points that give you, that you can sell, reproduction Clovis points, they've got to be perfect and pretty, but they don't look anything like the real ones. And you're saying, well, why do the real ones sell for thousands of dollars? It's because they're real, dude. It's not because they're pretty. Some of them are, but that's because they got lucky. I don't like what I'm hearing, so my eyes are not working. Okay, fine. Go watch Gulf Coast Knapping. I recommend his channel. Yeah. There you go. Besides, his live streams are more highly populated than mine. I get shadow banned. Yeah. There's not much reach on mine. Which might not be too bad because I can respond to people in the chat better if there's not whole bunches. Okay, what do? I'm just going to opportunistically nap where I can see a good flake opportunity. And then when all the edges become more fragile, I will abrade and do another series of flakes. So I'm just opportunistically napping. Okay? All right. See, it's not good. This is not buttery. I wish it was. That wasn't too bad. All right, let's see. Sometimes I have to dress these. They get all nasty. Let's see. Do I have smooth ends? I want to use a smooth end. That way it works better. Okay. When it starts to get to this stage, I need to have tool tips that work well. And if there's a lot of dents and rock dust in there, they don't work that well. All right, so all the edges are becoming delicate, so I need to regrind. Are we finished with this preliminary thinning? No, not yet. It's still kind of wonky. See that? I got to take that out. I'm going to straighten everything out and make sure the best I can. Make sure the surfaces are smooth and relatively free of step fractures. Okay, and I accomplished that with big flakes. I like big bold flakes to accomplish the smoothing aspect. Some people like a lot of little flakes. That looks too flakery for me. Okay. I just don't like the look of it. I like those flakes. Yeah. I don't have to work as hard. If I have to do a bunch of little bitty flakes, it wears me out. And at the final stage, I'm all exhausted. Yeah. You're just a wimpy napper, dude. Wimpy, uncoordinated, and stupid. I know. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Just, if you can stand it, then stick around. If you can't stand it, I'll see you later. I have the heater off. It's now 42 degrees in here. I'm starting to get cold. But I'll warm up here in a minute when it starts to get near the sweat stage. The sweat stage is the final thinning. I'm almost done with this stage of the preliminary thinning. The next stage will be the final thinning, and that's when I start sweating. That's when the stress builds, and there's drama and suffering and complaining and blaming everything except myself. And if I make a big mistake, I say stuff like, "Oh, that solved that problem. I didn't want it to be that long anyway," or "I didn't want it to be that shape anyway." I'll blame everything except myself. Yeah. So I'm almost there. A little bit more and I'll be done with the preliminary thinning. 1 or 2 more strikes. I should get rid of this. I should be rid of the wonkiness. Yeah, like that. So that's it for the second stage. The edges are straighter. There's no lumps on it. And the step fracturing is minimized. That's my goal, and I'm glad I was able to reach it. This material has no cracks. Lucky me. But this naps differently than the yellow. The red naps differently than the yellow, which naps differently than the lighter color. All these colors nap a little bit differently. Just a little bit. This stuff up here naps really easily. This stuff is kind of crunchy, and it feels like it feels powdery almost. But this stuff up here feels more waxy. Yeah. And this is in between. It's not only in between the two colors, but it's an in-betweener type of napping consistency. Alrighty, let's see. Ralph is back. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is the end of the preliminary thinning. And yes, I do break this into stages. And I think they used to do that back in the day as well. That's why you see caches of lots of bifaces sometimes, because they were going to make a set. Yeah, a lot of times, I think, most of the time, these things were made in sets of 5 to 10. 5 to 10 points at a time. And you say, well, they don't have caches that are exactly 5 to 10. Okay. What happens is you're going to break some. So depending on the skill of the napper, let's say I was going to make 10 of these, and if my skill's not that good, I'll have 15 of these cached away because I'm going to break 5 of them if I want 10 from 15 preforms or bifaces. If I'm really, really good, I'll have maybe 11 of these ready if I want to make 10, because I only break 1 out of 10. Okay? If you're really good at risk management, which means you don't try for too much thinness, then you'll have more success. The thinner you go, the higher the failure rate. Okay? So it's one of the reasons why they went really thin is because it requires some luck. And back in the day, luck was usually considered something like a blessing. You're blessed with good luck. And it's proven by something that required luck. Okay? They would look at this, if it was really thin, they go, man, you must be blessed because of that good luck. Yes, I am. Huh. Well, how long did it take you to do that? Well, I had to break 9 of them to get one good one. But look how blessed I am. Yeah, you are blessed. Breaking 9 of them was worth it. Yeah. But if you want more success, you just make them thicker. Okay? I don't want that. It doesn't make any sense. I don't like that. That explanation is stupid. Very stupid. Yeah. As a spectator, it sounds stupid, but when you're a napper, I'd rather have pieces that are intact and thick than one thin one. Yeah. I'd rather have 10 thick ones than one thin one. Yes. All right. So the next stage, like I said, is going to be very difficult and stress-inducing. I'll probably have to do the pressure flaking thing just to make these edges a little straighter and get rid of the wonkiness along the edge. Yeah. Okay. I don't have much room now for negotiating these obstacles, right? So I've got to make sure that these edges are well prepared for tackling some of these obstacles like thick spots. An obstacle can also be the width. In order to run a flake past halfway to thin it down, I got to make sure the edge is right or good, the surface is good, the tool tips are good. I might even have to switch to a smaller diameter. This was 3/8 up until now. I might switch to the 5/16. So 3/8 and 5/16 are the two sizes that I use. Okay? And these are cold rolled copper rods or cold rolled stock, whatever they call them on eBay. I'll have one that's oval shaped or elliptical on one end and one that's more rounded. The elliptical one is for the tip work mainly, and the more rounded one is for the other everywhere else. Why for the tip? Because it's more gentle. The more pointy it is, the more gentle it is. You don't want to break the tip off. That's the easy explanation. Okay. So it does not look ground down enough. And I'm going to use a file. All right. How long am I going to do it? I've already been napping for an hour. Yeah. Okay, so this live stream is going to end at 10 p.m. Eastern. So I've got about a little over 45 minutes left. Dan Bell, I bet that flakes like butter. I just went through that with somebody else. Who else mentioned that? This does not flake like butter. This flakes like a pain in the butt. Yeah. It does, because it's dry, it's crackly along the edges. If it looks like it flakes like butter, it's because I have experience with napping. But it gets all crunchy, especially in this lighter color area. See how the edge is all crunchy? And it gets a little bit better as you go up. See how this edge is not as crunchy as that edge? It's because it's not butter. I can't believe it's not butter. Okay. You're going to have to believe it. Just like the commercial. I can't believe it's not butter. I'm not going to believe you because it looks buttery. Yeah, it looks so deceiving. Dan Bell says, I never worked mookaite. It looks waxy. No, this is a raw mookaite. It's not waxy. It's waxy if you heat treat it. Yeah. But this is not waxy. This is, you can tell it's dull. It feels kind of dry. And this down here is crumbly. Or, relatively speaking. It's not crumbly like chalk or anything, but it gets all crackly in this lighter area, in this lighter zone. Up here, it gets a little bit more smooth and waxy, but I would not call this waxy at all. Yeah. Yeah, Ralph says mookaite is a stone for seasoned veterans. True. Yeah. Marty says, can that preform be fluted? No. Unless you're using only pressure, you might be able to get a longer thinning flake with pressure. With percussion, I wouldn't risk it. This is too thin for fluting. Besides, it already fits in the haft. Yeah, see, it already fits. So you don't need to flute it. Okay? The only reason to flute it is to fit in the haft. If it doesn't need fluting, it isn't. Okay? A lot of Clovis points were not fluted. Okay? It's just like kind of like a shortcut to run a thinning flake on both sides so it'll fit in the haft. It's like a speed thing. It's like to speed up the process. Okay? That's my opinion, yes. But that's what I think. Why else would you risk breaking it in half? Maybe, you know, if you're in a hurry, you take risks like that. If you're not in a hurry, why take the risk? Okay? All right.
Yeah, but Clovis is so beautiful. That's why they did it.
They're going to throw it in an animal and it's going to break when they throw it. You know, you've seen Clovises snapped across. It's not by mistake. That's what happens. It's expendable. These things are expendable. So you're not going to make something pretty just to break it. You're going to make something that's utilitarian. And if it breaks, oh, that's part of the process. Yeah. They don't make them so they're beautiful. Well, they didn't. Maybe they did on some of them with fancy stone. Maybe. But that's something we don't know exactly for sure. All right, so what am I going to do here? Pressure flaking. Yeah, you're going to get different perspective on why these things were made on this live stream. And yeah, I've read many studies, many studies. I spent literally thousands of hours looking at artifacts and reading studies.
Yeah, but why are you still stupid?
I got burnt out. Yeah. That stuff burns me out because not all the information is there. Unfortunately, the studies don't show you all the data. They only show you the data they want you to see. So I had to go around looking for artifacts and make some friends that had real Clovis points and stuff and buy casts of the real things and look at them myself and make them myself. And that's how you learn. That's how you learn to get a different perspective on these things. All right, so pressure flake's okay. Yeah, up here, that's the easy part. It's a nicer material, not only in color, but in consistency. I think I'm going to use indirect percussion to refine this edge. Yeah. Why? Because it's not that easy to pressure flake. I don't want to wear myself out, like I said. You know, I'm having to use a lot of force to pressure flake it. Okay. Remember, it's raw mookaite. It's not the easy peasy heat-treated stuff. And yeah, I make mistakes. See that little bite? That's a mistake. Because I used too much force on an edge that was too thin. But now I know. I'm not going to use that much force again. If you watch my other videos, I usually get a bite every single time I nap, and then I know the limits. I won't hit it that hard again, or I'm going to make sure the edge is not that thin. Gary said the grandkids finally went to sleep. I missed some comments. Hold on. Yeah, I'm a Lord of the Rings fan for sure. So let me see what I miss. Let's see. Ralph says, I've broken Clovis bases before, I think. I think they saved their foreshafts and just refitted them with new points. Yeah, you can put a new point on a foreshaft many times. You can change it out and put new ones and keep the same foreshaft or the same knife handle and just replace the blades, just like a utility knife. Dan Bell says, would it be dangerous to use indirect at this stage? Yes. The thinner it gets, the more dangerous the indirect percussion is. Which is kind of paradoxical because you want to use indirect percussion to get it thin. But once it becomes thin, you got to learn your limit and stop at your limit, because you can mess it up really easy with indirect percussion. Let's see. Salamandra says, a Bachelor of Science in Archaeology told me that things are mostly utilitarian. Flutes make sense for expediency. Well, there you go. Someone's thinking there. Of course, he agrees with me, so I'm going to say, yeah, that's the way it is. Let's see. Ralph says, I found an unfluted Clovis once. It's just beautiful. Yeah. That's a short haft, says Thomas. Yeah, it is kind of short. But if you look at artifacts and measure the measure foreshafts that are still preserved in the archaeological record, the notch is not very deep on many artifacts that are foreshafts. Okay? They're not very deep. Remember that. But don't take my word for it. Look for pictures of foreshafts and actually measure the picture. If it has a scale next to the picture, what I do is I print out the picture and print it out as many times as it takes for that scale down here or wherever it is to match reality, so that you have a full-size object on the piece of paper, and then you go ahead and measure the depth of that notch and see what you come up with. A lot of them are not deep. It's difficult to make a notch with stone tools, so they're not going to make them very deep, especially on arrowheads. Yeah. Okay. On foreshafts for arrows, you'll notice that the notch is not very deep on the foreshafts for arrows, the ones that exist in the archaeological record. But don't take my word for it. Go look. So I can use indirect percussion for damage control. See how that was step fractured right there? There you go. How did I do it? With lots of practice. Yeah. Oh, dang. You don't want to keep hitting the same spot on stuff that's crackly, because the incipients will get you. Okay. Let's get this thin down further. Okay. So I'm using a smaller tip that's elliptical and not circular or semicircular. It's elliptical. There is a slight curve. I got to get that out first. See, this tip is going that way. So let's straighten that out first. Yeah. I got to bring this tip in line with the rest of the point, which means I'm going to lose some length, but oh well. Let's see. And what is this? This is actually a copper brazing rod. I think it's like 1/8 inch across. It's very soft copper. Where's my... Everyone wants to know. Inquiring minds want to know that it's 1/8 or a little bit more. What is that, 5/64? Or let's see, where's the 16ths? No, 5/32. Yeah, 5/32. It's this stuff. Let's see. That's what the tips look like when they get worn down. I pull them back out. It's brazing rod. It's got the flux on the outside, but it's very soft copper. Okay. It's not hard copper. It's not, I don't twist it to harden the copper. If I want a hard pressure flaker, I just use steel. Yeah. Steel nail. Mild steel. You don't have to mess with trying to harden the copper. So I'm going to straighten this tip out, bring it in line with the rest of the point. Right? Easy enough. And now I can just, oh, I still need a little bit more. After I straighten this tip out, I can start thinning. Yeah, much better. The tip is now in line with the center. Yeah, so let's start thinning. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see. What's going on in the chat before I start? No, don't turn it off. Hey, Bill Taylor. Hello, everybody. You missed the first hour, though. Mike Mason says, the examples of Clovis I see with step flute always had me thinking I would use that step for a stop against the haft. No, you don't want to do that. Nope, nope, nope. If you look on a lot of these Clovises, they'll flake into the flute, and they'll try to also, in many cases, remove the step fracture after it's fluted. And the wood, I wouldn't say supposed to butt up against that step fracture. That creates a weak spot when you do that. The step fracture is already weak, but then you put a wood piece right next to it. The engineer knows this. You engineers in the chat, if you have a step fracture in the middle, let's say, that's already a weak spot for breakage. If you put a piece of wood up against it, that makes it even weaker because it's very strong where the wood is and not very strong up here. And you have a step fracture right there, so it's going to snap much more easily. So you either overlap the step fracture with the wood, or the wood is not up against it. You don't want a stress point, and you don't want to add to the stress by making one side much stronger than the other, right where it can break. Okay? So just the physics will tell you that the wood was probably never pushed up against that step fracture. You'll know after a while of shooting points with step fractures in them that will cause more breakage if you put the wood right up against the step fracture. Okay. How do I know? I don't know. Let's see. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying. I'm not picking on you, Mike. I'm just giving you my assessment. Let's see. Oh yeah. What else? John Keck. He says, "What does heated Mukite look like? It looks more glossy than this." It's the same color, maybe a little bit richer in color, like deeper colors, and glossy. Okay. What does glossy look like? Well, here's some bloodstone. You can kind of see that this is a little bit glossy and waxy. The bloodstone is actually a lot more waxy than the Mukite. It naps differently also. This is raw bloodstone. You see how glossy that looks compared to this? So the Mukite will look more like this kind of glossiness when you heat treat it. Okay. And this is slightly glossy. The Knife River Flint is also more glossy than the Mukite. Okay. Do I have some? I do have some heat-treated jasper, but it's out of reach. All right, so let's get this thin down before I get distracted too much. And sometimes the glove gets in the way, so let's take the glove off. I'm going to turn the heater on. I apologize if it creates a lot of noise in the background, but I need that heater. It's now 40 degrees in here. I don't want to be shaking with shivering. Yeah, like that. Yeah, like that. I'm doing this with the indirect percussion at this stage because I can't get these larger flakes with pressure. Oops. There's no excuse. I should be able to get these on the first whack. No. But I do have to pay attention to how much force I'm using. I gotta put my gloves back on already. Yeah. We'll wait a little bit. Yeah, just put the glove back on. I'll make a mess. I just gotta live with it. The glove gets in the way a little bit of this delicate percussion work because I can't really feel the stone. I can't get the feedback that I need, but that's okay. I'll just live with what I got. I'll make doo-doo with what I got. Yeah, it's getting crunchy. I can probably remove it though. No? Yes? It is crunchy. Captain Crunch? Yeah. This is Captain Crunch stone. See how crunchy it is? Dang it.
You should have used pressure, dude, like you was gonna.
No, it's still, I'll live with those mistakes because it's much easier to use percussion. It's less fatiguing. I want to save the pressure for the sharpening stage. I don't want to be exhausted mentally and physically when I'm trying to sharpen this thing. Because if it's all crushy and crackly, sharpening it is going to be crushy and crackly too. So I got to be very careful. Let's see. Let's see if I can blast that out of there, but probably not, but oh well. Let's see. Oh yeah. It did it. Almost. It almost got rid of everything, but I had to hit that really, really hard. Sometimes that works. So yeah, that was one of those hit and pray type of deals. Yeah, like that. That was a hard hit too. Sometimes you got to hit harder at this stage than I did on the previous stage. Yeah. How's that for taking risks? Very risky. Did it do it? Yes, it did it. But see, it's already starting to dive in at the end of the flakes. It's okay. I can remove that little steppage from this side. But you can see that the flakes want a curved surface. They don't want it flat. Now, you can run flakes on a flat with pressure, but with percussion, it likes curved surfaces. Yeah, like that. I'm taking away those lumps. Yeah, like that. Come on. Okay. That material wants to be tough. I gotta focus, which means I gotta not think at this stage. If I think too much, I'll mess it up. But that's just me. Some people, they don't have that problem. They can think all the way through and not mess it up. And they can think really, really hard about everything and not mess it up. But me, if I think too much, It's like I forgot how to flint knap. Yep. See if I can get rid of that crunchiness down on the base. No, no, direct attack was not good. How about here? Almost got it. Dang it. That's okay. Dumpty dumpty dum. Yeah, I'll just live with that little step fracture right there. If I can get it later, I'll try, but there's no room to work with. It's too thin to do damage control. So if I get a step fracture like that, it's just gonna stay in there. Unless I make it more narrow, then I can attack it. Yeah. If it really bugs me that there's a step fracture right there, I'll just make it more narrow. But if I had to make this to spec, like back in the day, you're making all these the same size. If you get a little mistake like that, you can't reduce the width because you need to make them all the same size. So you just leave it in. Yeah. All right. So I took away the worst areas. Yeah, I flattened the worst areas. Okay. So let's go back to pressure. So that's the secondary thinning is done. I'm not going to go for much thinner than that unless I think it's worth it. I don't need to go thinner than that. There's a lumpage right here. I can try to thin that. It's not going to be that difficult, but it's going to have to be more narrow. Because the flakes are already starting to dive in. So making it more narrow makes it easier for me to reach the obstacles with these flakes. Okay? So I'm just going to clean it up with pressure and see if there's a chance to thin it a little bit more after the pressure flaking. Then I'll do the sharpening. It's already somewhat sharp, yes. And I just dulled it because it doesn't work. The pressure flaking doesn't work on sharp edges. You gotta dull it before you do the pressure flaking, in case you don't know. And this is like half and half, downward and inward. But as you get closer to the tip, it's mostly downward pressure and not inward. Down here, it's a lot of inward pressure, but as you get closer to the tip, it just gets less and less inward and more downward pressure. So at the very tip, it's almost straight downward. Okay? I always mess up in the transition between the main part of the blade and the very tip. A lot of times I get step fractures during that transition where it's got to be almost straight down vertical pressure flaking. I tend to want to push inward a lot at the tip, but that just creates step fractures. Why? I don't know. Okay. Is that tip still aligned properly? It's easy to put a curve in it if you're not careful. And there should be nice nice pops and no crunching when you do the pressure flaking. If you hear a lot of crunching when you do the pressure flaking, it's not good. A lot of scratching and crunching. It should be clean pops. The more crunching and scratching you hear, the duller it is on the finished product. At this stage, I'm not worried too much about the scratching and crunching because it's not the sharpening stage yet. Okay, so now I'm on the other side. And you don't have to go in sequence. You can go randomly. And it still looks like it might be in sequence. It might look like I had started from here and gone down. But I'm doing it randomly. But it still might look like I started here and went down. All right, so I did that side. I did both. Yeah, I flaked this side. I flipped it over and I flaked this side in that direction. Now I'm going to do the opposite. But before I do that, I've got to make it dull again. And I go in both directions. I grind in both directions. And then this produces a much finer edge, which makes better contact with the tool, which is important at this stage because this is the final part of the final stage. The edge has to be nice and ground down to make solid contact because you can't make any mistakes. You can't afford any mistakes at this stage. So downward pressure mostly near the tip, and then as you go down the blade, it's more inward. Unless you see a good opportunity, you can take one of these inward flakes if you see a good opportunity on a ridge. If you need a tip, you can take an inward flake. There's nothing wrong with it as long as you're not going to overshoot or take too much off the edge. Some of these inward flakes cause a bite on the edge. Straight down pressure doesn't remove too much of the edge. Like that was inward. I ran it on the ridge. But these are half and half, inward and downward. Halfway down the blade, it's half and half inward and downward pressure. And as I get closer to the bottom, there's a lot more inward, so those flakes are longer. Yeah, like that. See, it's a longer flake. And you can zoom in. And I can zoom in. See? I'll zoom in so you don't have to, okay? How's that? How about that? Yes. Let's do the bottom edge. No, not like that. Not like that. It's very difficult to keep it in frame when it's zoomed in. No, it's not gonna do it. Still not gonna do it. See, I want to run a flake up through here. And that it was too dull before. Did it do it? No, it didn't do it. It was not dull enough. All right, let's see if I can do it. Okay. Still didn't do it. I'm going to need to use indirect percussion. It just crushed. Don't need to zoom in because it's too difficult for me to keep it in frame. Now it's dangerous to use indirect percussion when it's this thin at this stage when hitting the bass. I would not recommend it with material that's not strong like obsidian. You don't want to be doing this too much. You're going to have to suffer if you can't do it with pressure. That's it. If you can't do it with pressure, then don't take the risk, especially with obsidian. Well, step fracture. Yeah. At least it got it thin, though. How do you take care of that? Just reduce the width and hit it. Yeah. I'm gonna hit it from this side first, and then from that side. I'm gonna try to get that lump out. Now that I have the opportunity, as you can see, when I ground it down, the edge moved more toward that way. So it's better to take this flake first and then take that flake. There's two problems. There's a lump on this side, and then there's a step fracture on that side. So the edge is more conducive to removing this first, and then I can go for that one. Right? Right. Good, good. I know you would agree. Yeah. I gotta breathe deeply because I tend to hold my breath if I think too much. All right. Let's do a more rounded. Yeah, instead of a pointy. Why? I don't know. That was a very, very hard hit. And voila. It didn't really go over that lump, but it took care of some of this mess in here. Yeah, let's take a flake from this other side now. Into there. I want to get rid of that lump. Yeah. I don't need to, but I want to. Very, very hard hit. All right, so that looks okay. Now to get rid of this step fracture. Improve the edge by moving it more this way. You can get these files at Harbor Freight. Yep. I think it's $8 for a pack of 6 of them. It lasted a long time. You can buy them off of Amazon, but they're never as good as the one at Harbor Freight. That was like a hit and pray. And yes, see, the obstacle is in the middle of the flake. That's where you want it to be. That's where I want it to be. I don't want to hit that where the obstacle's near the flake or at the end of the flake. It works best when it's in the middle. I like it. Is it getting really thin? Let's just say I wanted to haft it into this. I don't want it too thin. Yeah, it's already starting to get wobbly. So back in the day, I would just stop, even though it would look better if I continue. I'm probably going to continue and thin it a little bit more, but I wouldn't need to back in the day. Yeah, it's actually getting too wobbly. The glue helps to firm it up. Yes, but Still, you want a nice robust point if you're going to hunt with it. Oh, did it step? Yes. We're going into the cycle of doom. One step fracture leading to another, leading to another. That's okay. Let's see. Yeah, let's just get rid of all the step fractures if we can. What time is it? Yeah. I'll just go over the time. If it takes me a little bit longer to get rid of these step fractures. But the danger is if it gets too thin, it'll break. So if I wanted to make it just for specs, I just leave it. But if I wanted to make it for looks, I've got to eliminate the step fractures. What is making it for specs? You know, to fit the weapon you need it for. This is just like a utility knife blade. If it fits the weapon, it's done. As long as it's sharp. Yeah, the only stage left is sharpen. But I'm trying to get rid of the step fractures to make it look nice. Yeah, like that. But it's risky. Because see that? I can install cracks. Which are not good. Risky. I'm taking big risks. Let's get rid of that crack. Yeah, a lot of force can cause cracks. You don't want them in there because they can go across the point. It can open up, as I call it, and go across the point. Just a little lump removal there. Now let's get rid of this step fracture. Yes. Okay. I feel better now. It's not perfect, but I feel better. Right? Right. Good. Good. And yeah, I just sharpened it now. All right. The sweat stage is over. Things are winding down, and I'm not exhausted. So now I'm confident that I can sharpen it without expending too much, or without having expended too much energy prior to this. I'm still in the game, so to speak. Yikes. There's some obstacles here. There's thickness. I gotta thin this down. Yeah, like that. Inward pressure. It gets a little bit dangerous near the tip to do the inward pressure because it can overshoot. You never want overshots. Never.
Yeah, you always say that. It's so stupid.
Oh well. Okay. It's okay if you don't like what you hear. It's all right. Just go where you like what you hear. Yeah. I'm not going to be offended if you go where you like what you're hearing. Yeah. Just do it. All right, so Someone once asked me, how do you preserve the look of these big flakes? Well, I don't take big flakes into that area and smooth it out. I take little flakes along the edge. Yeah. You can preserve the look of the big flakes if you only take little flakes along the edge. Well, that's just steps right there. Let's see. I have a pick for those. See if I can get it. Yeah. It's okay. I need to move the... Hold on a second. It seems like I'm out of frame the whole time. All right. Can this be picked? See, it's a little chisel looking tip on that. It's not very sharp. Sometimes it'll pick those out. If I sharpen it more, it's more effective, but oh well. I don't care. I need to sharpen this though. See, now it's better. Yeah. The tip requires more precise work. Yeah. It's not dull enough. Yeah, like that. Yeah, like that. That's good. Yeah. Let's sharpen this up and get it done. Yeah, like that. I learned I can do better flaking like this on this one particular spot than I can if I flip it and do this like that. So now I'm going to work on the symmetry a little bit on this edge here, and the straightness. Let's do this. I'm just downward pressure to trim off the parts that are sticking out. So it's nicely arced. Nicely arced.
Put serrations in it, dude. Serrations are cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to do it. Not tonight. I might do it on the next live stream. All right, so that looks pretty good, I think. I still need to do a pass on this side and a pass on this side. I still need to thin the tip a little bit more. No, I think that's probably good like that. Last pass. Yeah, okay. I'm going to be doing this at random where I can see that it needs it. So I'll be switching sides wherever I think it needs it. Oops. You don't want to hear the crunching. I don't want to hear no crunching. No. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Now I need some on this side. So I don't mess up the big flake pattern by big flakes when I'm pressuring. Everything works out. I picked it. Yeah, I can get rid of this nastiness when I notch it. Yeah. Am I going to notch it? I should, but I don't think I have time. So wherever I see a dull spot, I'll also pick that. But I'm picking mainly to get rid of the protrusions, the part sticking out. People like a nice modern look to these points. Back in the day, they don't worry about the nice modern look, obviously. If it's sharp, it's good. Call it good. But I've got to do it. I've got to make it sharp and pretty. It has a nice modern look when it's sharp and pretty. And I can probably get rid of that nasty spot right there when I flip it over. Yeah. I'll come back to it in a minute. The heater turned off. Where's the heater? If I start shivering, it's going to mess me up. Where's the heater? Where's the heater for Peter Pumpkin Eater? I've been eating pumpkins. I grew some pumpkins this year. Yeah, they're good. Except they get fat on pumpkins. All right. Let's see if I can do this by blasting away. I'm going to blast with a frontal assault on this little nasty area right there. We'll try to take it off with one flake. It's got to be sharp and pretty, not just sharp. Yeah, like that. But not like that. Dang it. Oh well. That spot was so nasty it caused a bite. It's not my fault. Yeah. I blame it on a nasty spot. Okay. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. All right. Let's just fix it. I don't want another spot like that. Let's see if I can pick that. before I take the next flake. No, it didn't work. I'm thinking about it too much. Let's see. Dum-dum-dum. Normally that works, but I'm thinking about it too much. Normally it works to take a flake right next to it. But I'm thinking about everything too much. Just do it. I'm also using inward pressure, which makes it more difficult. For me. Some guys don't have that issue. They say, no, the tips are a piece of cake, dude. I don't have no problems. Yeah, lucky. Now I gotta fix that bite. It's still nasty in that area. See that? It's still got a weirdness to it. So the material is not perfectly consistent. Yeah. It might look consistent, but it isn't. Almost got it. I almost got that. That's good enough. Yeah, like that. I'll just live with a little bit of wonkiness. Make sure the symmetry is good. Yeah. Yeah, it's still pretty bad right there in that spot. Something about that spot. Yeah. As long as I make it nice and even, it'll be good. Oh, come on. As soon as I get near that spot, that's it. It's the spot of death. So if you're a new guy and you go, there's a spot on there that just won't do it. It's not you, it's the stone. Yeah. In many cases. Not all cases, but in many cases, it's the stone that does it. So I blamed it on the stone in that one spot. Yeah. Sorry, I gotta zone out here so I can finish. That's okay. I'm just trying to make it symmetrical. I'm symmetrizing it. So I got to remove the dull edge. Remember, I ground it down earlier all the way to the bottom. I think the other edge is already sharp. Yeah. I can feel some dull spots, or I can see some dull spots. The dull spots are easy to remove flakes from. Okay. We're already past 10. Yes, we are. We're past 10 Eastern. I'm going over my time. Frosted flakes. Yeah. Nice snaps. No crunching. Yeah. Just when I said that. So yeah, I'm going to leave some of that crunchiness in there. And remove it later when I do the stem and the notches. Yeah, it's a little bit wobbly, but it's still, I didn't thin it down too much. And yeah, it'd be nice to have it deeper, but a lot of these, like I said, a lot of artifacts are not hafted very deeply. Yeah, because it's difficult to make that notch with stone tools. That's my final answer. It doesn't fit this one. I have various foreshafts and stuff. You didn't know that? I got collections of these things. Let's try this one. It's a little bit wobbly for that one. How about this one? How about that? No, it's not good enough. This one will work. Yeah. So when I do the notches in the stem, I'll make it to match this foreshaft. Just like the one before. You did a one before? Yeah, I did a one before. This one. I did this one on the other live stream to match this foreshaft. No, it wasn't this one. It was this one. Yeah. This foreshaft. And see how I scored that? A lot of foreshafts artifacts have these score marks on them. When you wrap it with the sinew, you use a little bit of glue of some type, hide glue or whatever, and the score marks you can kind of see underneath the wrappings on some artifacts. It roughens up the wood so it sticks back as far as the sinew goes. So this foreshaft is for this one. Just so you know, I used it as a pattern for how thick and how wide the stem was on that one. And for this one, just by coincidence, this one fits pretty good. It's a little bit wobbly, and the gaps in there can be filled with glue. Yeah, and I'll just make the stem to match the foreshaft. Maybe I'll finish this on the next live stream. Maybe I'll do a surprise live stream tomorrow. Yeah. Something like that. Okay, that's it. We are done. It's time for bedtime for me. So yeah, mookaite, raw mookaite. I like the way it looks. And it knaps very similar to high-grade Georgetown. But it can get kind of dry and crackly and crunchy. How do I know it's the rock and not me? Because I can do nice flakes. It just doesn't cooperate down here. Yeah. All right, so let's see. You can kind of see the flake scars. I think this is side A. and this side B. Yeah, there's always a side A and side B. One side always looks a little bit better than the other. What's the ratio? And what's the final dimensions? I don't know. Let's see. I didn't measure the original spall, did I? 3 inches almost exactly. By inch and I don't know what that is. 7/16. Yeah. And the ratio, I'm going to do this in millimeters. Let's say this is 36 wide by 6 thick. Yeah, 6 millimeter thick, 6:1. Perfect. 6:1, perfect. Yeah. All right, guys. That's it. I'll do the notching on another video. This one is not going to be very difficult to notch, by the way it was pressure flaking. So I don't think I'll break it trying to notch it on video. Yeah, I think it'll be all right. I'll just notch it on the next video. Maybe I'll sneak in another live stream tomorrow. So where am I on the chat? Let's go to the end. Okay, Sal says goodbye. Everyone's saying goodbye. Very good. I'll see you on the next live stream. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and participating and commenting. Yeah, Marty says this is the worst Knife River flint point he's ever seen. And it's not really that thin either, probably. No one bid on it, okay? No one supposed to bid on this one in the auction. And the Mookite will be in the auction too, don't worry. Let's see. All right. That's it. I don't think I missed much. If you had a question and I missed it, I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I don't think I missed. Whoops. Ah, come on. It's not going to do it. Yeah. All right. That's it. That's it. That's enough messing with this stuff. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or, yeah, tomorrow is Saturday, so I should be making a video. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Good night. Good night. Bye-bye.